to the complete lead generation open house plan, where this is my first one on Zoom, so my apologies for any technical difficulties, but we'll try and get through and get as much value added to your next open house. The main thing here today is what I've been working on for the last 2 years, especially with Command, is when it comes to open houses and selling homes, the old school was just work harder and everything comes. Today, in the new school idea with Command, with technology, you just work smarter. And then as being a tech-enabled agent, by working smarter, you actually have more leisure time. And at the same time, you'll have more value and higher GCI. Now, the whole thing about an open house is, especially at this time of year, we'll be doing our 135 GPS plans for next year. Now, the GPS is all about goals and dollars. Now, when you look at it, an open house is a complete GPS plan, and that's the way I formatted my past 12 years. Hopefully I'm still going 12 years. So with an open house, when you're doing it and when you're becoming the local specialist, you all of a sudden accidentally become farming that area, and you also become branded in that area. And I'll show you a couple of ideas that have really been beneficial for me in the past 12 months. And it's got the branding out there and building up my database. So even the forefront of building up your database by people signing in at each open house. So that's to do with your 135s that will be most probably be moving towards completing in the next 3 weeks. So why do we hold an open house? Number one is to sell the open house, and especially if it's your own listing. Number two is to lead generate for listings. Now, especially what the big push is at the moment, that we know that your future is all about listings of present. So that is even bigger today than what it was 12 months ago. You lead generate for buyers. Well, you've got people coming into your open house with money in their pockets, and it's up to you with your scripts and adding value to their search for them to become your buyer. And I'll have some things here in the presentation.
And there's two conversations coming in.
What?
Okay. There's feedback, is there? Is there any feedback?
It's gone now.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Kendra. Did everyone get what I was saying previously, or should I recap? Okay. So lead generation for buyers, and it's all up to yourself with your scripts and the way you present yourself as being a professional in the industry. And your scripts, I always tell people, I'm a full-time agent. I'm available to you 24/7. You can call me at 10 o'clock at night. You just got to, you're just presenting yourself as a professional without bragging. The fourth one is building a database. Everyone that comes into my open house, they do sign in, and you can easily do this in Command now. And it's even better than ever that the Command will sit them straight in as a lead on your lead page. So the Command is, it's being updated more. I'm improving this each update of Command, because you don't, the less work that you, as I say, that old school was doing the papers, typing in their names, putting the paper in, putting the phone numbers in, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do that anymore. That is done for you. So that's where you are saving time.
I have a question real quick, Ash.
Yes, Kendra.
So the open house that I did for you, I had 2 folks come in that they had realtors and they were all set there. I did not put them in my Command. Would you recommend putting them in and just putting notes that they already have exclusive agent agreement, or just don't put them in?
Yeah, good question. When they sign in through Command, and I was going to come to this point, in a short while, but I'll say it now, that down the bottom of the command, it has a note section. And when they're signing in, if it's husband and wife, one of the scripts I turn around to them and say was, how did you find out about this open house today? Okay. If they say Zillow, realtor.com, anything except a realtor, I put that in. If they say, oh, I'm set up on a search by my realtor. Oh, that's great. What is your realtor's name? Bang. So you don't ask them if they ever. I never ask anyone if they're working with a realtor. That's my number one rule of thumb, because I want to show that I'm a professional. And if they're working with a realtor, you've got the name straight there and then, and you change your tack. You just become an information person for them, because you'll realize that when you're doing these open homes, and especially if you're an individual agent, that you may not have listings yourself. So you'll want to team up with another individual agent and say, get in with them and say, if you ever have an open house you want me to do, I can do it for you. And I'll do it for you, especially then when you give the feedback, and I'll get to that as well. So as far as that goes. So that's where I actually have that. Now, what you do with that lead, generally if they're working with a realtor and I delete it when it comes in as a lead. I'm very strong on that, that if they say a name, that's fine. If they say Zillow, realtor.com, or a friend told me, be the professional, add value, and hopefully you're their buyer agent at the end. And there's a few things here that I'll show you that you'll be able to turn their eyes and they'll come to you. So when you've actually got them coming in, I unfortunately don't have the acknowledgement of where I got this from. I can't remember where, but the stats are 70% of buyers and sellers hire the first agent that they meet. And I actually have felt that myself in the past 12 months, where if you can show how professional and what you can add to the sale of their home to make it, maximize it, or to add to their buyer experience and show them homes that they couldn't show, they'll go with you. 80% of open houses guests are truly not properly represented. Very true. And you'll find that when you start taking your stats from where they found the information. So essentially you have a 1 in 2 chance to be their local real estate specialist. So it's pretty good stats when you think about it, compared to making cold calls. So once again, it's just be the professional, add value the whole way through their search. In doing the open houses, first of all, number one, you have to be willing to do them. I do 4 on a weekend, and I do a midweek one if possible. There's some weekends I don't have everything happening. Then some weekends I know I've got maybe 2 or 3 buyers that I think, well, okay, I've got to step down the 4 open homes. And I'll do doubles on open homes as well. I'll do one Saturday and do it again Sunday. That then helps you immensely in your selling, your listing presentation. You can bring those stats out and say, have a look, I did 8 open homes in the first 4 weeks, and a person came in with a realtor to the last open house, but they didn't have the realtor with them. They didn't want to disrupt them on their weekend, and they came in and had a look at themselves, and they went back with the realtor on the Monday, and they were on contract Monday night. So there's all those scripts that you can say. This whole 2-week program, it's to do with processes and systems, which Gary Keller is very strong on. And the number 3, it is a poor point of everyone's. And I know in my past 12 months that at times I've just got too busy to do the follow-ups that I should be doing. And if you're not doing the 3 or 4 each week, that's when it can hurt. If you're not doing the follow-ups, at least I've kept busy this whole second year in my real estate experience. So the follow-ups and the strategies are important to follow. So here's a bit of stats for what I've done in my first 2 years. So in the first year, I actually did nothing in the first 6 months. It was all about getting my wheels spinning and getting into production. Then in the next 6 months, I sold 12 transactions. 9 of them were directly from open houses. 2 of them, I actually had the list, and I actually had the buy by bringing the buyer out of the open house. So that was in the first year. Now the second year, all up, I've had 20 transactions with a higher sales price, and I've had 13 through open homes, and I've had 7 through other experiences. But I've now got 4 listings for next year already in my pipeline that were all through open homes. So that's where you can generate a good, strong pipeline through even open houses. It's just not immediate. And that's all to do with the follow-up. So this is the 2-week program. I'll go through this rather quickly, because then at the end, I've got things to discuss. I've got stories to tell you about how I've been able to turn things, and at the same time, I'll take all questions. So it's a 2-week program. But after your first week of up and going, you've actually got it doubled each week, because you've got week 1 running with week 2. So on a Monday, it's great to know what you're doing the following weekend, so you can plan for it. And that's what this whole system is about, is getting your open homes, knowing what you're doing, and then planning for them, and having the knowledge and the inventory in your mind that you're going to be paid for later in months to come. So Monday on week 1, you get assigned the open house. If you're on a team, yes, you work with the open houses on your team. If you're an individual agent, go to other individual agents, go to other teams and ask them. I'm always proactive. We've got the great Facebook page that you can generate open houses from that as well. So then on week 1, you confirm the open houses. I've got an open house questionnaire that you see on the side page there. This is giving value to anyone that comes inside the home, and it's showing that you're the professional. It's adding value to someone that already may have an agent and wants to put in an offer. I'd never carry spare copies. I only ever have 1 copy because I've got their email address and I've got their phone number that I can communicate with them. And even if they do have an agent, I still send it out and at the bottom, wish them all the best. So you're showing that you're, well, for me, a gentleman or a lady, and you're showing that you appreciate them coming into the open house. So that open house questionnaire is either answered by the agent that you're listing for, or if it's your own listing, I send it out before we've even listed the home and I put it in the documents section. So that's the open house questionnaire. Now, this is an opportunity to get for sale by owners or expireds around your open house. I have a look on Zillow and everywhere to see if there are any around my open house, and I try and make an appointment. My idea of doing that is to turn around to them and say, show how full-time you are, show how you can add value to the person that you're selling the home, and even still maybe turn around to them and say, I'd love to bring a buyer to your home out of my open house. Oh, no one will turn that down. I actually have had 1 listing out of that I didn't have to make 100 cold calls. They actually had the condominium next to the one I was looking at, and with a buyer, and I just called them and asked, and 2 weeks later she calls back and says, I'd love to list with you. So it's back to that 135. That's how open houses can really help that GPS plan. Then check other open houses posted in the MLS. I even look at other condos that are for sale in that same complex, and I'll call the agent. I had one up in Wyandotte Woods. I called, well, there was 2 homes on Kelly Drive that were for sale, and I rang both the agents and told them that I was doing a 11 to 1 Saturday and a 2 to 4 Sunday, and it would be great if we could collaborate and have a festival of open homes in the area. They were both on board with that. They both came in. They both thanked me, or one of them thanked me the following week. They said, I hadn't thought about open homes because it's been on the market for so long, and we got 6 people through. So it did sell eventually. Mine sold eventually. Once again, it's just showing you're proactive in the area. So that's where you look at that. And then you look where to put the riders in place for your sale. So Wednesday, week 1, is you produce a 2-sided flyer. I view homes in the area for my Wednesday open house. That's my inventory for me to acknowledge that if they don't like my open house, I can turn them on to something else. And once again, I'm showing that I'm the professional in the area. I then door knock with the 2-sided flyer. Admittedly, in COVID at the moment, I'm actually just putting it in the door handle, and I'm not soliciting any work. I'm actually writing it as an invitation to the open house. Now, 2 reasons I do this is because so many people that live in a neighbourhood will have their grill outs. And if you hear of anything that's happening in this area, let me know and I'll come and have a look. Well, you're getting that person. And then secondly, you're getting the person that may be thinking about listing. Now, this is the gold one. And I think I've had 3 all up that have come into my open house. And I've got 2 in the pipeline that I'm listing, and I've listed another one. So by you showing that you're going 1 step beyond what another realtor will do, shows that you're adding value on the list side and the buy side. And then on the Wednesday, I'll then start planning for the weekend. I'll set my Thursday appointments to look at those homes once again for my open houses on the weekend. I do an open house on a Wednesday. Now, what I do with our team is I do it the first week it's listed, or when we've done a price reduction. My stats show that if you do it continuously, unless it's on a main road, it drops away strongly. So that's why I'll do it on the first week. Now, summer, I'll do it 5 till 7. In winter, I'll do it 4 till 6 for obvious reasons there. Okay, so this is the flyer that I did for Clifton Court, which is Wyandotte Woods. So the front was, and this is all done in command. Katie does a fantastic job for us, and I've got more to explain for what she does. I've got the explanation of what everything is there with the home. And on the back, I've got the open house telling them when it is, the hours it is, friends and neighbours all welcome. So that's where when some subdivisions have no soliciting, well, I'm inviting them. I'm not trying to sell them anything. So I haven't had any issues with any door knocks or just putting it in their door handle. So yeah, then on the Thursday, now the Thursday is always my busiest day for the week 1 setup. The week 1 setup is I do a total market overview around my open house. So what I do is I run the comps for sales in the area and for listings in the area. Katie will do a social media day, and there'll be a slide there showing exactly what she does. I view the homes. Once again, I want the inventory, especially when you're a new agent. There's agents that have been in the business for 30, 40 years. They've already got that inventory in their brain. I have to build it up. And I've got a couple of stories to show you how it's profited me quite substantially by me going and having a look at other homes. I do the door knock for the weekend with the 2-sided flyer. Now, if it's homes, I do a 10 by 10 by 10 by 10, which is 10 either side, and on the opposite side of the road, 10 either side. If I'm in a condo, I'll even door knock up to 100 condos, because you've got to remember there's a lot of buyers in the condo area because they're renting and they may want to get out of that rental cycle. Not all condos are like that, but I always feel if you're not putting your best foot forward, you don't have that opportunity. And then look for the best signs, the best places to put the signs. You want that branding out there. You want them to see it's your name out there. So you've got to work on where you think the greatest exposure and direct them to the open house. And then also I invite the database of previous open homes. So if, say for Dublin schools, I've got in my tags, Dublin schools, I'll send out a group email to everyone from Dublin schools, inviting them into the open house. Generally, it's exactly like the flyer that Katie has done. So you're trying to hold as much, working smarter, as I say. So these are 2 posts that the Gale group do. It's explaining what the open houses were. We don't we differ it all the time. You'll see the 2 on the left. We put the pricing on that. That was because it was in Jerome High School, which, as you know, is a real hot pot up there. But at the same time, I've got a lot of friends on Facebook that live in that area. So secondary, what we do is Katie posts these and I reshare them to my own friends group. And as a result, my friends, personal friends that aren't friends with the Gale group, will see that I'm active in their area. I've got the odd phone call. It's been great. I've received, I've got 2 listings off it. So it's a great way to do it. That what we call soft social media presence. These don't get a whole lot of engagements. They don't get many likes, but they do get a lot of views. So you're showing how busy you are on weekends. If you're doing 4 open homes on a weekend, you go out socializing on a Saturday night, that someone often turns around to me and goes, "Oh, geez, actually, you were busy today." And I'll tell a story about what happened during the day. So it's a conversation piece. So that's where it's great when Katie puts these up and I reshare them to my own. And I generally just don't reshare them standard. I'll put a little comment in there as well. So that's what I do. So with the whole 14-day or 7-day, 7-day, I have Friday as my day off, but it's generally not a day off. If I've got any buyers, I'm trying to get them out on the Friday so I can do all my open homes on the Saturday. And I'm catching up on any work. So I generally still do 2 or 3 hours on a Friday. Okay, so the Saturday, it's the same for both days. I try and leave the signs out there overnight. I've got 6 large and 6 small ones. I'll generally try and leave at least 3 and 3 and change them over. My open houses are 11 to 1 and 2 to 4. You'll see that I've got 10:30 to 1:30 and 1:30 to 4:30. My first one, I'll get there at 10:30. Okay, the one thing about it is if you haven't got the signs out early enough or from the day before, you're getting them out then. And I generally stand, before COVID, I'd stand out the front of the house or I'd stand out the front of the condo. People walking past, they always have questions. I'm thinking about getting my windows done. Who's good to contract for windows? You have the answer there straight away for them. Oh, thanks very much. And here's my business card if you need anything else. So it's just so incidental how you can pick up listings and buyers. Now, the one thing about the 2 open homes is that if you're doing them for anyone else or if you're doing them yourself, feedback is gold. The list agent will love you and will give you other open houses all the time if you give the feedback within 30 minutes of pulling up stumps. That they'll love you for it. And when you call them up the next week, they'll remember your professionalism. Now, I already have, especially from my what I've viewed other homes, I've got already other MLS listings in the area, and I have additional information on the home. I never hand any of that out at the open house. I want their emails, I want their phone numbers. If you present it to them at the open house, I always have one page there. I'm actually doing an open house today. So you'll see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now those 4, 1 was our listing The other 3 were other condos that I actually viewed yesterday. And I've written notes on them in my phone of why they're different to what the one I'm listing today is. That's the open page questionnaire. That can be emailed to them afterwards, right? Now, the condo that I'm doing today, it's slightly unusual. The people that have owned it for 2 years, they've got a homestead exemption. I had no idea what one was. And I would be fairly certain that 90% of people that come in the open house will have no idea what they are. So what I've done is I've printed out a page explaining exactly what a homestead exemption is on property tax. Once again, I've only got 1 copy. If they want a copy, not a problem. I'll have it to you after the open house. Now, then I've got 2 CMAs. For the subdivision. I've got one with exactly the same square footage. And then I've got another one that has all 2 bedrooms. Now, the reason I've done that is because the condo that I'm doing today has many updates. It absolutely looks enormous. It most probably has been overcapitalized. So I've got to show the people that the per square footage is relevant to the price. And so that's where I have everything there for them. I even have them on my computer as an email for when I finish the open house today. I go home, or on weekends, I say to them, I'll have it to them by 5 o'clock. I email them the actual individual listings with the photos so they can click on it. I have no problems doing that at all. I feel as though that once again, you're showing that you're the professional, and that's where even with the office exclusives, I browse the office exclusives every Friday, every time before I do an open house. And I look at what's around, because if you can show them a house that no other realtor can show them, they're going to go, wow, they're on top, you're on top of your game, and they'll refer you to their friends. I'm working with 2 people at the moment that have been referred. Still haven't shown the first person the home, but I had 2 office exclusives that I took their friend through, and he was gobsmacked. So yeah, that's where you show your inventory of homes. So that's a Saturday. Now this is my signage. This is the branding. Okay, luckily or unluckily, I'm Australian, so the green and gold I put out there, and I get conversations from them. I farm Powell and Dublin fairly strongly, in particular at Wedgwood. When I'm at the country club, I'll get a comment on a Wednesday saying, I saw your signs out on Saturday, Ash. How did the open house go? Great. That's showing that the money I've invested in my signage is captivating someone's eyes. So when I'm doing open homes in that area all the time, I'm getting recognised. So and I thank Troy for that. He helped me a fair bit with that, and it was a big help there. So the Sunday, same with the open houses, the times, the feedback to the list agent, it's exactly the same as the Saturday. As I say, when you've got too many buyers, you're most probably going to have to cut one of the open houses out each day. I sometimes, with a new listing, if it's my listing, I'll do the open house on the Wednesday, and I'll do Saturday and Sunday. You will have that seller as your referral for life. So it is important. So on the Monday of week 2, so the beautiful thing about getting them to register in Command is all the contacts are already in your database. So you then go in there and you classify the lead. If I send out thank you notes, either email or handwritten. I particularly do the handwritten ones when it's a neighbour that has come in. One of the scripts when it's a first open house, I'd say, is welcome to the open house. Are you a neighbour, or are you a buyer? How did you find out about the open house? And if they're a neighbour, they'll immediately say they're a neighbour. Well, the good thing about finding out is they're a neighbour is that they may be interviewing you for their for them listing their home in 6 months' time. So that's where you change up your script. You talk about how It's we work with a professional stager. We do this, we do that. We've got a 3-point strategy plan in listing your home. We sell so many homes before they're listed, and you over the 15, 20 minutes, you've shown your professionalism. And so I then handwrite a note, because when they've actually said that they're a neighbour, you can go to the auditor's site and find out what their address is. You don't need to even ask them their address. I maybe ask them their subdivision, and I handwrite a note out to them. I've got one in my pipeline at the moment that's exactly from that. So that's sort of, once again, on week 1, you'll see that you don't have much to do, but you do, because this is actually week 2, Monday, which they're working in together. And you do the follow-up calls on everyone from the previous week. I generally do follow-up call on everyone, except if they're already working with an agent. I definitely keep hands off there. Now, the good thing about, even if they say they're not interested, it has got me one listing. It was actually my very first listing. And they loved it, how I followed up with information from the home when they sent their email, when I had their email. And then I followed up with the call on the Monday. I then got a phone, I then followed up, they didn't answer. I followed up with another phone call on the Wednesday. I then got a phone call off them on the Thursday and said, Ash, we'd love to interview you to list our home. Beautiful. I ended up getting the listing. I was the only person that they interviewed for that listing. So that's where I was very lucky there. And it is in the follow-up, even if they say they're not interested. Why did not you ask them the general questions? What in particular didn't you like about this house? What are you looking for? You've got those scripts, and even though I asked them inside the house, I may turn around to, I sent you one on Sunday night that I thought may have interested you, and I'll leave the voicemail if it goes to it, and then leave another voicemail. They'll appreciate your follow-up, and they'll think that when they go to list their home, you're going to work that hard to sell their home. So now with Command, you've got the smart plans and you've got the mail campaigns. You've by now got a fair idea where they are with a campaign. It's golden when you've got their subdivision that you can find out their address, and you can put them on a neighbourhood drip campaign smart plan that they'll be getting that. Obviously, those smart plans will be improved, and that when you look at them, there's a lot in the library section now that will assist you with setting them up. One of the things that, once again, especially if they're a buyer, I've got this 10 tips to follow once you've been pre-approved. You don't want them to be pre-approved and looking, and for them nonchalantly to go and hurt their credit somewhere. So even by sending that out with your brand on it and everything like that, you're giving them added value. The Wednesdays, the follow-up calls, and send similar homes of interest. By now, you've realised that they're interested in that home or they're not. So I like to send out other homes that just to prompt a conversation with a further follow-up call or a text message. Did you get those homes of interest that are suited to your criteria? I try never to say, would you like to go and see them? I don't like to. How could I refine your search? So that's where I do that. Thursday, the follow-up calls. But remember, on week 1, you've got a lot to do from week 1. So that's where the Thursday is a soft day. The Friday and Saturday, Sunday are all very similar to week 1, because Fridays, you need your time. And if I've been doing now, last weekend, I start at 8 a.m. on Saturdays and 8 a.m. on Sundays. I'm looking for new listings and everything around the ones I'm doing, any updates on my CMAs, and I'm there at 8 a.m. But at the same time, I'm sending out to buyers anything that, because Saturday and Sunday seems to be a strong day for listings coming on. So I like to show, if I send it out at 8, they've already got my business cards that I hand to them. I always give them about 10, that if they go to an open house, here's my business card. they're ready to go rock and roll. I even start texting them. I find that on weekends they're far better to text if you're in that process, especially when you're in open homes working them yourselves. So then once again, Saturday is exactly the same as the previous week. As I say, turn up at 10:30 for 11 to 1. I have an hour between the two, 11 to 1 and 2 to 4, the 4:30 one. Yeah, look, one thing you've got to realise is that if I've got people in my open house at 1, I never hurry anyone out. If I've got someone in at 4, I never hurry anyone out. My friends that I socialise with, they actually a little bit surprised that I say, guys, don't count me in for anything on Saturday or Sunday night. I'll let you know at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I quite often cancel on them because I'm still working with buyers until 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday. I see that there's so many more people with, so to say, money in their pockets that are walking into open houses that if you can jump and do something with them straight away, they're going to go with you. They want someone that's there, ready. They don't want you. They don't want to hear that it's you. Oh, I've got a second job, or I've got this commitment with sport, or I've got this commitment. Blah blah blah. No, you jump for them, and they'll jump. They'll love you, and hopefully they work as a referral. So Sunday, once again, same as week 2. So that's the whole 2-week program. Yes, it is rather weekend intensive, and unfortunately I don't apologise for that, because if you really want to get your wheel spinning, it is a full-time job, and following this in the process and in the strategy that I use, the systems that I use, if ever I'm going slow, I come straight back to this. Where am I failing myself? And I jump on it again. So it is a numbers game, just like leads that come in from Zillow, Boomtown, Realtor.com, whatnot. They're all numbers games. I feel as though the numbers game on this is a lot more profitable than on doing it through cold calling and having wrong phone numbers and everything. You can run Facebook ads around it. We've just started doing it. And then you get on the drip campaigns that Nick Baldwin has got set up. Once again, they're very inexpensive. And if you set them up as a smart plan, once again, that's not a great amount of time for yourselves, but that's at the experimental time for our team. I know some other teams are most probably a little bit more advanced on that, but once again, you like to think about it especially when you're starting off. You don't want to outlay money, outlay time. Well, if you can present the right home to someone, they will buy it. So, any questions before I move on? No questions. All right.
I had a question. Sorry, I had a question. For the information that you collect from the people that come to see the open house, do you enter it yourself, or do they enter the information in command?
Yeah, they enter it. Yeah, I'll show you. Katie, this is.
What are you trying to do?
I'm going back to. Okay, the introduction. Okay. So that one. Okay. So this is what I have at the very front of every open house I do. I have a stand there with an iPad. Now my iPad is already linked to the internet. It doesn't have to be the house's internet. And I have this stage for them. Now this is in command. So their name goes in there, phone number, email, and that's underneath is the note. And the note is where I always put in how they came to the open house. Down below, you'll see that I always have a spotlight there because you go to some basements in some homes, they're not well lit, and I have a tape measure. Everyone wants to, I don't know if my bed will fit in here, or I don't know if my car will fit in this garage. Well, let's go and measure it. And then I have the hand sanitizer as well. So, and then I've on another table, I've got a whole lot of other COVID cleaning material as well. But now I've realised that everyone just wants the hand sanitizer. So that's what I do. So this information is what goes into command. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, so to tell a few stories, what I like to do is I'll go to this and speak about a few stories. Now, the Brookbend cellar came out of a condominium open house. They were small, they were downsizing. And they came in, and that was the gentleman that I just did the follow-up with the follow-up with the follow-up. And he and his wife asked me to come and do a listing presentation with that. Barbara and I went, and we were able to, he didn't even interview anyone else. Now, all those buyers that you see there out of open houses were ones that I generated out of the open house. Erlington Court was a seller and a buyer. This is an interesting one. And where I say you 11 to 1, stay behind. This gentleman, this buyer, this was a really busy open house, a condo there on the corner of Brand and Erlington Court, and a real hot area right next to Wyandotte School, elementary school. And this fellow came in at about 10 past 1. I had 20 people in. And this gentleman came in, I was just about to close the door. And he said, "Oh, am I too late for the open house?" And I just joked with him, "Oh, never too late for an offer." And he said, "Oh, I like your style." So he came in, and he went through the open house, and I answered the questions for him and everything. And he turned around straight away to me. He goes, "I like your professionalism. I want to put an offer, and I want to put it in through you." Okay. We're into contract that night. And if I had been in a hurry to go anywhere, that buyer wouldn't have been around maybe to put the offer in. He may have come back the following week. It was one of those ones where you've just got to be committed. Wellington Boulevard. It took us 52 days to sell this in Wellington Boulevard. I did 2 open homes every weekend for the whole 6 weeks, and got a great referral off the husband and wife. And the buyer came in, just started the conversation. Luckily, he was a golfer. We had a great conversation about golf. The wife was on FaceTime with the daughter. She was in Atlanta, and that took all up about 45 minutes with them. They went off and had a chat. They came back, and once again, he turned around and he said, "Ash, loved our conversation. I want to put an offer, and look, we really don't have a realtor. He's more commercial, so I want to put it in through you." Beautiful. We got into contract within 48 hours. So that's how that came out of there. The Pinto Court, that was a listing that came out of an open house. I did an open house. We didn't have any open houses this weekend. And another team advertised that they wanted one done in Dublin. And I went and did that. And I only had 2 people through the 2 hours. And one of them, I was able to have a good conversation with, talk to him about the area, talk to him about our team. And I worked out that he had a home to sell and one to buy. Now, this was unfortunate. I didn't realise that he was working with Redfin, and they give money back, or he was getting money back off the Redfin buyer. But he rang. I followed up with him. He didn't answer the phone quite often, and once he answered the phone, he was a bit flaky. I got a phone call off him a month later. "Oh, Ash, can you come and do a list presentation for our home?" He never did one other interview. So that's where it's so interesting, that just that follow-up and showing your professionalism, having a good conversation about the area can get you out. Like, I lost it, but it came back to me. So that was Clifton Court. This was an interesting one, that I was actually going out doing the inspections of homes for my inventory before I did an open house in Wedgwood. And the Wedgwood one was actually Dublin Schools Wedgwood, and which was Wedgwood Glen. And so I went and looked at this, and the homeowner was hadn't left the home. So I just stood out on the driveway, and she came out, and I had a good conversation with her, and I said, look, you don't need to leave. I said, 10 minutes, I'll be in the home. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And she's gone, oh, great. Wow, that's really good. So I went in, had a good look around, as you do with all homes that you go and have a look at. You leave your business card on the kitchen countertop. And about 6 weeks later, it was an expired listing. And I thought about calling it. I didn't. And what do you know? A week later, she calls me and says, can you come and do a listing presentation? Barbara and I went out there. We were in contract to sell a home a week later. I did I think it was 3 or 4 weeks of open homes, sold. She was absolutely ecstatic about it, because she had had it on listed with another realtor for 6 months. And she was told by that agent that open homes don't sell homes. So that's where it's rather interesting how they come around. Fast forward, actually, one I just got into contract last week. One of our listings in Edgebrook was a Wednesday open home. First open home in that area. There are only $125,000 condos in that area. Had a real good conversation with him. He had bad credit. Put him onto our gentleman that can assist him with the credit. That got worked out in about 3 months' time. He came back to me. I was always having conversations with him and sending him some emails. And I got him into contract the other day for $170,000 condo. So it doesn't matter what price bracket or where you are. I'll do any and anywhere. Admittedly, when you're trying to farm an area, yes, try and do as many as you can. Have a look at any other KW consultants that have some open homes in that area, and call them. Can I do an open house for you there this weekend? If you get them on the Monday, you're giving them plenty of time to assist you with that. So that's where that happens. Now I had a great one this spring, that I was doing an open house for another agent in Wedgwood, and this had sat on the market forever and ever, and it was listed for $599,000, and I did a 2 to 4, and that was my only open house for the whole weekend, and it was really quite that period. Everything was selling. And so I did that open house, but I had the inventory of an office exclusive of KW consultants that was sitting there. And one person came in at 5 minutes to 4. On their way out, I asked the conversation, what do you like about the home? What don't you? What are you looking for? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, you're looking for 1 acre in Wedgwood in particular? Yes. I said, I've got an office exclusive. Do you know what an office exclusive is? No. I said, well, an office exclusive is where KW consultants have 300 agents, and we have our own office exclusive listings. And what can I can actually get you in, or only a KW consultant's agent can. All right, what's the address? And I said, well, let me give you the address when I've got the appointment for you. Would you like to go in? This was at 4 o'clock. I said, would you like to get in at 5 o'clock this afternoon? Oh, yes, please. Okay, I've got your information. I'll get in touch with you in 10, 15 minutes. Got them in at 5 o'clock, loved the home, loved everything about it, but didn't like it how it came onto Riverside Drive with no set of lights. But they said they'd still think about it because the home was a 10 out of 10 for them. And the lot was a 10 out of 10. I went up to Wedgwood, had a conversation with some members up there by the pool. They always ask me, what did you do on the weekend? One of them I had a discussion with about this home, and 15 minutes later, he comes back to me and he goes, "What's an office exclusive?" So I told him again. And he goes, "I think I want my daughter to get in there. Can you get her in?" I said, "Well, look, if the first people don't want to buy it, I'll do it." So they didn't. I got the member's daughter in the next day. We were in contract that night. And that was from an office exclusive. The first buyer, I was able to find them through Facebook, a friend of mine that was moving out of Wedgwood, and I didn't realise that she was only renting. She put me in contact with the owners. I was able to then place them in that home in Wedgwood. All of those contracts with both sides of one and the buyer on the other were all over 600s. So I did 1.9 million out of one open house that I thought was going to be a dead one. Sort of was, but if you've got that inventory in your mind and you know those homes and you can turn them over to it, you're showing that you're the professional and they're going to go with you. So I always that's the one thing that you always can assist them if you're showing that you're the professional in the area. And so that's where the Newcastle one and the double on Bridgewater all came from that one open house. So it's a big benefit. Like with all my listings, I go with Barbara. We've got 11 out of 11 with Barbara, her and I, going for a listing appointment that I've been able to generate from an open house. If you're on a team, leverage as strong as you can. If you're an individual agent, hook up with another individual agent to assist with your open homes, with getting them. And look, as long as you show that you're the professional to the other agent and the professional to the buyer or the neighbour that comes in that thinks about listing, you will keep moving along. So as far as that goes. So that's sort of some stories of how I've been able to generate my business. It is all about being able to present yourself and tell a story, a script. You're not bragging that way. It's just a matter of just general conversation. So that's how that presents itself. So, Katie, are there any questions that anyone has, or anything that anyone think I've left anything out that could assist them? No worries. Well, I hope this has been of benefit to everyone. And if you see me around and you want any assistance with anything, I'm only a phone call or text away.
Thanks, Ashley. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.